What's up, guys? This is What's Cooking Neighbor. I'm your host, Don Smith, and today we're cooking up a creamy pasta dish. It is usually used, it's chicken is going to be using this, but you know me, I got to go all out and do everything a little bit different, so I'm going to be using steak. Now, the steak we're going to be using is a flat iron steak, and it's real delicious and it's tender depending on how you cut it. And let's go with all the other ingredients we're going to have in this dish. We're going to have some mushrooms, we're going to have onions, we're going to have garlic. And of course, we're going to have sun-dried tomatoes. And our pasta that we're going to be using today is panini pasta. And we're going to have half and half, 2 different types of cheese and tomatoes, everything in the kitchen sink. We got all kinds of seasonings. So let's just get right into this, guys. We already have our pasta water going over here. As soon as that comes to a boil, I've already salted it. And as soon as that comes to the boil, we're going to throw our pasta in there and just let that go and forget about it. Now, come over here. We're going to start our pan and get that heated up. Now before we do, while that's doing that, come over here and let's season our steak. Always season as you go. A little salt, fresh ground pepper, season both sides always. It's nothing worse than one side tasting food. Now also in this dish, it's totally up to you, but we're going to be using some crushed red peppers. It's your own preference. Some people like to kick it up a lot. Some people don't. So I suggest that you use it, but just depends on how you want it. Depends on how much you want to use. And we're also going to be using some paprika and some garlic powder. Now, it's getting nice and hot. We're going to come over here. We're going to drop 2 pats of butter. What's a pat? I have no idea. That's what old people say. So it's a pat, 2 pats of butter. Throw it in there. And let that melt down. And we're going to go in with some extra virgin olive oil to help with the burning point of the butter because we don't want it to burn. Now I'm going to go back here and get a spatula. Come back here and let's help speed this up just a tad bit. Now, that's going good. We're going to go in with our onions first. And we just want to saute those as usual. We don't want them to brown. Just want them to get translucent. And what's the best way to do that? Salt. Pulls out the moisture. And it helps it saute and still browning and burning. We're adding just a little bit of a fresh ground pepper to this. Now I was thinking about what I was going to make today and I had no earthly idea, so I thought let's go to the internet and let's just start searching up. So that's what I did, went on the internet, start looking at different dishes to make, and I seen this come across, but it was made with chicken. Everything's always made with chicken. Let's do something different. Let's kick it up a notch. So that's what we're doing with the steak. Now, garlic. Let's go in with the garlic. Important, do not burn your garlic no matter what you do. Burnt garlic is bitter. It's just disgusting. Don't do it. But nicely cooked garlic, believe it or not, it's really sweet. And you can already smell the aroma of the onions and the garlic going into this. Now, all I have here is sun-dried tomato. Now these sun-dried tomatoes are already julienne, but you can get them in a can or you can get whole sun-dried tomatoes and you can cut them up and dice them up yourself. This is easier for me because these are already julienne and all we got to do is just throw them in there. And you can already start to see the color contrast in this already. And we're going to cut this down to about a medium heat. Give my hands a quick wash. And then while that's going, now our water, rapid boil. That's what you want to see when you cook your pasta, a rapid boil. Get our pasta open into the heated pool. There you go, boys. Have fun in that steam bath. Give it a little stir. Now, you can already smell the sun-dried tomatoes, the onions. It's starting to get a little dark, so I'm going to take this off the heat really quick while I go over here and get my mushrooms, and I'm going to add a little bit more oil in there. But if you can see, the oil is start with the sun-dried tomato, the oil is starting to come a different color, a darker color. And we just want to bring this back up to temp real quick. When we throw our mushrooms in here, that is simply going to suck all that flavor. And there we go. Let's throw our mushrooms in. Just get that out of the way. Just top back on this. Mushrooms are like a sponge. It just soaks up everything. No matter what you cook it with, it's going to soak up all that flavor. That's why it's so diverse and so great to cook with, because you can add anything to it and it's going to add that flavor that you want. You can manipulate it any way you want to make great flavors. It's great to play with in the kitchen. Give the mushrooms a quick saute. And once we got all our veggies going and have them where we want them, and the good, make sure everything is soft and all the flavors have come together real nicely, we're going to take this out and set it aside, and then we're going to start working with our steak. And then we're going to bring this bowl back over here. And then we're just going to take this out and set it aside. Don't worry, guys, you'll be back. Keep as much of that oil in there as you can, because that oil is flavor town. And just get this out of the way real quick. Add just a little bit of oil to this, not a lot, just a little bit. Now we're going to pan sear our steak. Remember, we're using a flat iron steak. And we're going to cut it up. Give our pasta another stir. Oh, it's starting to smell good in here. Now, the temp that you want to cook your steak to is totally up to you. I prefer a mid-rare to medium, so around 155, around there, 145, 155, anywhere around there. But if you want it more, you know, you go to 65, it's going to be well done. We're going to give this a hard sear and try to get a nice crust on it. And of course, we're cooking in that oil that we cooked the mushrooms, the garlic, and the onions, and the sun-dried tomatoes. So all that flavor is in this oil, and it's going on this steak right now. This actually is adding another extra layer of flavor to it. Searing both sides. Then once this gets seared, we're going to throw our veggies back in there, and then we're going to start adding other flavors to this. We're going to add some tomato sauce. We're going to add our half and half, and you're going to see what wonderful things we're going to do with this cheese once this all gets started. About 2 to 3 minutes on both sides, just depending on how you want your steak to be cooked. And once it gets to where you want it, we're going to set it aside and we're going to let it rest. And we're going to throw everything back into the pool and we're going to start having some fun with it. I'm flipping it back over because this side is getting a little more color that I wanted. The other side didn't get the color that I wanted, so I'm flipping it back over. This is one of those dishes you can play with. Like I said, normally it's used chicken. You can use any kind of meat that you want. A meat that people don't use a lot is pork belly. A pork belly would be great into this. Braise your pork belly, then slice it up and throw it in there. If you don't know what pork belly is, you eat it every morning, but it's called bacon. And a lot of people say they don't like it, but trust me, they do. Now that's the color, it's starting to brown up. That's what I want. Now, if you want to know how to tell what temperature your steak is, you can always touch it like this and use your thumb like this. It's not well, that's well, medium well, well done. Or this is rare, I guess say. This is medium. It's a little nifty trick. And we're starting the fire. We'll be right back after I put this fire out.
Citizens Bank and Trust Company serves the Taylor County area with 3 convenient locations. Our online and mobile options can make your banking experience even easier, with features such as digital wallet, Touch ID login with our mobile app, and online deposit. Mobile banking also gives you the online control of your Citizens Bank debit card. Along with our banking locations, we also offer a no-charge ATM in the Student Commons on the campus of Campbellsville University. Citizens Bank and Trust in Campbellsville. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you're 2 or 102, the Tigerville Grill has something for you. Take advantage of the Build Your Own Burger menu. In the mood for something small? Choose one of the many delicious slider options. Call ahead and use our fast and easy drive-thru. Oh, that cool freestyle fountain drink machine? We've still got it. The Tigerville Grill, located at 314 North Columbia Avenue and open to the public 11 to 8 daily.
Campbellsville Baptist Church, a church where all ages grow in the love of God. From children and youth worship to sports ministry and mission outreach, Campbellsville Baptist Church shares the love of God both in and outside of the sanctuary. Join us for worship on Sunday mornings at 9 and small group Bible study at 10:30. That's Campbellsville Baptist Church, the people of God sharing God's love because God's love changes the world.
What's up, guys? This is What's Cooking Neighbor. I'm your host, Don Smith, and no, the place is not on fire. Trust me. Now, our pasta is still going. We took our steak out. We're letting our steak rest, and now it's time to put this together. We're going to add our mushrooms, our sun-dried tomatoes, our onions, the garlic. Add those guys back to the pool. And now, tomato sauce. This is an 8-ounce can. It's totally up to you. It's optional, as usual. I'm just using an 8-ounce can because now we're just going to stir this in and let that cook down, let that sauce. Let that sauce come together. And once all this melts together and comes together, start hanging out, incorporates itself with one another, we're going to start adding a little flavor into this. And usually I say season as you go, flavor as you go. It's usually just salt and pepper. But today we're going to use some garlic powder. Say that 12 times fast. Put that in there. A little paprika. Now this dish is going to have a little heat to it. How much heat is up to you. Now we're going to stir this in. We're going to come over here and get our cracked black pepper. Oh, you can smell the tomatoes starting to cook in with the garlic and the onions and the mushrooms. And this is pretty much where we want it to be right now. Now we're going to go in with our half and half. About 2 cups. A cup and a half. You know, slowly, so not to make a huge mess like I normally do. Stir in the half and half with the tomato sauce and get all that blended in together. And you can see the color is now a bright orange almost with that tomato sauce and the half and half. And we're going to slowly bring this back up to a simmer. Smells delicious. Let's come over here and check our pasta. Always cook your pasta al dente. A couple more minutes and it'll be right where we want it to be. It's almost there right now. Has a nice little bite to it. Now, as you can see right here, our sauce is starting to bubble away, and that means it's time to add our cheese. Now we're going to use mozzarella cheese. Nice little handful of mozzarella cheese. And we are going to use shredded Parmesan. If you can get Parmesan yourself and go and shred it yourself, is always great. But I have this that I can't open it. So get a little knife, a little slit, easy peasy. It's just cooking. Never take yourself too seriously in the kitchen. I don't anyway. When people say they can't cook, I say, you know what, go try it. Anybody can cook. None of us will ever be the best cook, but all of us can cook. Now our cheese is in there. Now we're going to slowly, as you can see right now, just getting ooey and gooey and delicious. Look at that. Our cheese is starting to melt in our sauce. Yes. Our mushrooms and those tomatoes, the contrast in colors. Ooey gooey deliciousness. And now we're going to take our pasta off and we're going to drain our pasta, and we're going to add our pasta to this delicious ooey gooey sauce, and then we're going to add the steak, and then we're going to have fun. It's a lot of things, I know, but Come on. Pasta back here. Drain it. Now, again, you can use any kind of pasta that you like to use. I'm using penne because not only, as you can see, not only does it has that little hole in it, but it has these little grooves also that captures this sauce and it all sticks to it. In you go, guys. And now I'm going to use these tongs to incorporate. They don't call this cheesy pasta for nothing. Now you can also put this in the oven and make it a pasta bake if you want to. And again, you can add any kind of meat you want to, so porchetta, pork belly. It can go on and on. Now while that's going, we're going to add just a little bit of olive oil over top of this. And we're going to come in now. This is that parsley, crushed red peppers. Totally up to you. You can omit it if you want to. You can add more if you want to. You can add less if you want to. Totally up to you. I love heat, but I don't know if everyone else does. So I'm not going to go killing anybody with parsley. I mean, I don't know why I keep calling it parsley. Crushed red pepper. I'll get it right here in a minute. There we go. Now we're just kind of incorporate the crushed red pepper all through our dish. Because you don't want to take a bite and have all the clump of crushed red peppers in one bite. That would be not good. Cut this down a little more. Now all we're doing is just let that pasta soak up all that flavor of the sauce we have and the sun-dried tomatoes and the mushrooms and the onions and the garlic. And you can add, totally up to you. I'm going to try this. It's a little bland for me. So I'm going to add a little more seasoning to this. We're going to come over here and hit it with a little more of the garlic powder. And we're also going to hit it with a little fresh cracked black pepper. And normally you wouldn't do this because I apparently didn't get my pasta water salty enough. And usually when you do that, you always want to get your pasta water tasting like the sea. And I didn't do that. So we're going to go hit it with a little more of this Himalayan pink sea salt. But normally you wouldn't have to do that because your pasta would be nice and salty and it would be full of flavor. So you wouldn't want to use a lot more of the salt. But let's come back over here and incorporate this throughout our dish. Now we're trying to wait till the very last minute before we start to slice our steak and add it back into this for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is whenever you cook a steak, you want it to rest so all the juices and everything will come back into the steak. Because if you cut it right after you cook a steak, all the juices are gonna squirt right out and you just lost all your flavor. Then why'd you cook the steak if you just lost all your flavor? It doesn't make any sense. So let it rest. And we're gonna add it back in there. We're going for a medium, and when you cut that and you put it back in there, and this is gonna be hot, you wanna eat it right away because it's going to continue to cook once you put your steak back in here, and it's just going to cook your steak, and then you're going to have a mid-well steak anyway. So this is looking right where we want it. We're going to taste it, make sure the seasoning is right. That's where we want it. Now, our steak. We're going to come over here and we're going to slice our steak up, and then at the last second, we're going to put it back into our pasta. And when you're cutting the steak, you want to cut it across the grain. As you can see, the grain is going this way. We're going to cut that way. Perfectly medium. You see all the juices. Now we're going to take this. To add just a little bit more, I'm going to go, normally you wouldn't do this, but we're going to add this in there before I do. Look how perfectly medium that is. Let's add that in there. What he's left all alone. Sorry, guys. Now, this steak is delicious. It's tender because I cut it against the grain. All right, guys. Now, the only thing to do is plate it up, and let's see how delicious it is. Let's make some room. Let's get everything out of the way. Let's come back here and get a, yeah, you'll do. Nice little helping. Make sure we get a little bit of everything in this. Now, I'm going to, since I'm going to taste this, add a little more heat, a little more crushed red pepper, cracked black pepper. Now, let's try it out. Get a little pasta, some of the meat in there. Make sure you get some of that sun-dried tomato. The steak is tender, it's juicy, but for me, the sun-dried tomato sets it off perfectly. The fruitiness of the tomato and with a little bit of hint of heat with the crushed red pepper. This is delicious. Guys, I really hope you try this at home. Let me know what you think. Go to the Facebook page and give me some suggestions. What do you want me to cook? You tell me what to cook and I'll cook it for you. This is delicious, guys. This is What's Cooking Neighbor. I'm Don Smith, and I'm gonna finish the rest of this. See you around, guys. This is delicious.